When I first tried carnivore, I thought it would be simple. Cut the carbs, eat some steak, and life would magically change. But here's the truth. It wasn't simple. It was hard. It forced me to face every lie I'd ever believed about food and about myself, and exposed the harsh truths that no one talks about. Hi, if we're just meeting, my name's Claire, Carnivore Claire. I have lost 140 pounds eating a high-fat carnivore diet with OMAD. And today I'm giving you 50 truths that it took to get me there. Just to let you know very quickly, I have launched memberships on my coffee account, so you can check the link down below for more information. Mindset first, because if you get this wrong, nothing else will work. So when we first come to the carnivore diet, we are bombarded with all these videos, all these posts saying how easy carnivore is. Just eat meat and the weight will just drop off of you. Unfortunately, I'm here to say that's not strictly true. For a few people it is, but for the majority of us, it doesn't work. It takes effort. I've spent 18 months working really hard, putting in effort day in, day out in order to get the results that I have got. Throughout my journey, from the beginning through to now, I have fallen off the wagon, so to speak, a number of times. But the important thing is not that you fall off, because when you fall off, you're going to feel a failure and it's going to make you feel like you can't do this, it's not right for you, and you may well give up. But that's not the attitude that I took. The attitude I took when I fell off was, this is a blip. The next day I would get back on carnivore and work really hard to get to a position that I was in before I fell off the stool. Before you even start the carnivore, you want to have your why. Losing weight is a why, but it's a very surface level why. It's not going to sustain you. You need an emotional reason why you are going to stick at this. And even with the strongest emotional reason in the world, you are going to have days where you feel stronger and when you feel weaker. If you've got discipline, discipline can override the motivation. Saying that, you don't need the same kind of discipline as when you're doing Weight Watchers or any of the other diets, because you are in ketosis. So this is something I learned very early on. In the beginning, I was carnivore, but I was still eating bananas and avocados, and my food noise was insane and I was eating too much, and eventually I had to give those things up. Once I gave them up and became a clean carnivore, then everything became a lot easier. What happens when you have a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because you believe it's low calorie, low fat, so it's not going to make you fat, but it is going to raise your insulin. And when you raise your insulin, set off your hunger hormones, you'll set off your food noise, and you will still be eating more than you need. Whenever we've been on another kind of diet, maybe Weight Watchers, Slimming World, whatever you can think of, cabbage diet, Atkins, a lot of them, you will be gung-ho for the first few days and then come up with some excuses. Well, over a few days, you end up becoming looser and looser with the diet before you eventually fall off the wagon. With carnivore, you have to go all in. You have to. This is a way of life. It is not a quick fix. And so if you are going to be successful on carnivore, then you have to go in with the attitude that you're going to do whatever it takes to see results. So far in your life, comfort eating has left you worse off. We spent our whole life eating lots of carbs because they're comforting. We've been eating junk. We've been doing whatever we've been doing with our own diets from a position of comfort, of entertainment, and it does not work. When we are eating for comfort, it is to escape the feelings that we are feeling, and we need to address those feelings So have you ever eaten a meal, say you've had a steak, potatoes, peas, whatever in your old diet, you've eaten it and you just think, I'm still hungry for a sweet thing, I'm still hungry for pudding. But if someone put another dinner in front of you, you wouldn't have eaten it, you were only hungry for pudding. When we have genuine hunger, anything that is put in front of us becomes appetizing. So on Carnivore, we remove glucose completely, so we shouldn't be craving sugar. But if you are eating a meal and you are craving something with a little bit of carb in it, maybe a bit of cheese, a bit of cream, then you are mentally hungry, not physically hungry. In the beginning, I was a carb eater who was eating carnivore, and what happened is I kept falling off the wagon. My why, my motivation, even my discipline was really weak. And it wasn't until I made that mindset shift to move over to eating a carnivore diet as a lifestyle forever that I accepted the changes and was a lot more successful. So on Carnivore, you will be going day to day, being really consistent. You are seeing the results you want to see, and then your results will slow down. And then what will happen is you will plateau, you'll get frustrated, and you will quit. But what you didn't realise was the other version of you continued through that plateau, and then they started to lose weight again or get healthier again, and they saw success. This is the key to being successful on Carnivore. Consistency and effort is what will get you to where you want to be. So we're all aware that we don't need carbs to live. They're not an essential nutrient, but we've been living on them our whole lives. Our bodies are addicted to them. So long after the withdrawal, you will still get your body craving. We'll see this in your food noise. You'll see this in your taste buds, in your hunger. That it's just your brain playing tricks on you because you don't actually need it. And the whole point of moving over to Carnivore is that you're eating foods that you actually need to fuel your body. When we go on Carnivore, people warn us against it. No one batted an eyelid if I ate a big pizza or I bought 6 donuts or I ate 3 bags of candy. Soon as I announced that I was going to do the Carnivore diet, I was told that I would get the big C, I would unalive myself, I would do all sorts of very weird things, and obviously none of that has happened. It's just fear-mongering, people putting their own fears onto you. Even when you see success, you will see their views, their point of view softening. In the beginning, I would get lots of warnings. Once I lost weight and I am now a healthy weight, those people are not giving me those warnings anymore. If you can stop worrying about what other people are thinking, you're going to relax into the Carnivore a lot more easily and be able to be the success that you want to be. So some people will come to the Carnivore, see that lots of people like myself have lost significant amounts of weight, and they want a piece of the pie themselves. Come to it and they think I'm going to do it for a couple of months to get my weight under control, to get my autoimmune issues under control, and then I will do my own thing. That's not going to work. You are going to be on a lifelong trajectory on this diet. This diet isn't a diet that you will go on and then come off of. If I had an issue with alcohol or cigarettes, and I would be on a daily basis monitoring those things. And it's no different with food. In fact, it's more important with food because we can't avoid food. We can't not eat food. And if you are on the Carnivore and you get the weight loss that you want and then you start eating how you was eating before, you are going to put on weight. So once your head is in the right place, food becomes the next battlefield to deal with. So when we come to the carnivore diet, we see this advice: eat as much as you want, eat all the meat in the world, fill your boots, eat as much as you can, stop until you need to eat again, and then eat again, and the weight will drop off. These are the promises that we hear when we come to the carnivore diet. But I'm here to say to you, in many cases, that is not true. This seems to be a hill that I am going to die on, but I will maintain it to my last breath. You cannot eat what you want and expect to see results. Most of us, we have been overeating. We're bringing old habits over to a new way of eating. If we continue to overeat, we are going to gorge our bodies and we are going to give it more than it needs, and it will convert that protein into glucose and store as fat in the body. I remember when I first started OMAD, which is eating 1 meal a day. So I eat within a 1 hour window and I fast for 23 hours. The truth is, it heals. And it heals your body a lot faster than any other kind of eating. We are not made to be eating multiple times a day. And when you do that, your body goes into ketosis, it enters autophagy, and it starts to heal and repair the cells from within. Added to that, the food noise will disappear, your appetite will disappear, and you will find the weight just falls off of you. If you eat too lean, you are going to face exhaustion. When we're on carnivore, we stop fueling our body with glucose. Our glucose reserves will drop, and that is our energy. That is where our body goes to get the energy. So when it drops and you are relying on fat, it's the fat that's going to give you the energy every day. So when you come to carnivore, it's super, super important that you do not fear fat, that you absorb it and eat it. I personally eat 70% fat from my calories and 30% protein, and that is what gives me my energy. Protein takes a long time to go through your body, but despite that, you will still feel hunger. You will feel tired because there's a lot of energy being dispersed to your digestion. You will also feel wired because your hormones are out of whack, because your hormones rely on fat. So this really boosts my previous point that lean does not equal better. We have grown up, haven't we, in a world that tells us fat is bad, fat is evil, fat will make you fat. All of that is wrong. And if you continue to follow that advice while doing the carnivore diet, you won't be successful. You need to really lean in to consuming the fat, the saturated fat, and lean out so much of the protein. Protein is good. We need a certain level of protein, but too much protein can cause us problems. So you're doing OMAD, you're doing really well, you're eating once a day, maybe 2-3 p.m. in the afternoon. But one evening you get really, really hungry, or so you think, at about 9 p.m. So you fry up a couple of eggs and you eat them. But then what happens is you're digesting as you're going to sleep, and you wake up and you still got a stomach full and you feel groggy and gross. Those feelings that you are getting as signals from your body that it has broken the autophagy, that it has broken the benefits that you were getting from fasting. At the moment on my Facebook group, I am running an A to C series where every day I take a different letter of the alphabet and I talk about something to do with carnivore. Come over and join us if you would like to read those pieces. But one of them was talking about hunger and appetite, and there is a real difference. Appetite is what goes on up here. Hunger is what goes on down here. When you can learn to tell the difference, you will stop overeating and you will just eat to your body's needs. And then you're going to see faster, more consistent weight loss results. Plus, your body is going to become healthier and it is going to heal much quicker. So last winter, about a year ago now, while I was on carnivore, I wanted to enjoy a cup of tea. It was cold outside. I was wanting to be cozy. I thought, I just want some tea. Bought some PG Tips. I bought some Yorkshire tea. And I thought, I'm going to have that. I bought some stevia, and it was natural stevia bought from online, not the shop stuff. So I thought that will be pure as anything. And I was having that in my tea, and my food noise just got horrendous. I also developed inflammation, sciatica, and other things. And in the end, I had to stop having my cup of tea altogether. It took me a few weeks to get my head around the idea that I couldn't actually drink tea. I just had to drink water because I was really, really enjoying that tea. But the fact is, if you have artificial sweeteners of any kind, then it is going to keep your food cravings alive. For our whole lives, we have been told to reduce our salt. And the reason they tell us to do that is a really important reason. They're assuming that we're on a carbohydrate diet, we're on a junk food diet, and with anything processed, they add a lot of salt. So if you are then adding salt to processed food, your salt is going to be really, really high, and that can be an issue. But when you come to carnivore, you are eating meat, eggs, and whatever else, but it's not processed. There's no processing whatsoever. So the salt in those products are really minimal. And it's really important that our electrolytes are kept balanced. So salt becomes very, very important. So before I was on the carnivore diet, I was popping lots of supplement pills in order to get the benefits that food should be giving me. So when you come to carnivore, you don't need supplements. You need discipline. You need to stick to carnivore as cleanly as possible and see how you get on. If you are not getting the health results that you want, then maybe there are some supplements that would be worth considering. For example, women over 50, creatine is a good one. If we're heading into menopause and things like that, there is extra supplementation that will support us. But in the first instance, don't go into carnivore assuming that you need supplementation, because you probably don't. So if you are faced with a food buffet with every meat and egg and cheese on it that you can possibly think of, versus a table with one plate with maybe a ribeye and some eggs on it, which of those two options do you think you're going to eat more of? So variety is good because then we get a more balanced nutritional load. But on the other hand, it can lead to too much temptation. I think boring is really good, and boring can lead to success on carnivore. Boring forces me to see food as fuel and not entertainment. So I do recommend that you cycling your food. So maybe one day you have a ribeye, another day you have lamb, another day you have ground beef, for example, because then you are getting a nutritional load. You're going to stop your body expecting certain things, and you are going to thrive within the carnivore diet. If you change your food, you change your body, but not always in the way you expect. This is a question that comes up quite a lot in my group, is people asking, I'm losing my hair, I can't lose my hair, what can I do? And I panicked in the beginning as well. I lost some density of hair around here and on the other side as well. But what happens is you shed a little bit, and for a month or two, maybe 3 months, and then it stops shedding. It hasn't grown back. It is a little patchy, but it does happen, and it is something to be mindful of. I take 2 supplements called biotin and silica, which do promote hair growth. So when you first go on carnivore and your body is detoxing from all the horrible things that you were eating before, you may well see your skin break out, spots and craters, big pores. But over time, what happens is all of that goes away. And I noticed specifically when I started doing OMAD that my skin actually became very clear. But if you are starting and you are getting breakouts, don't worry. Hang in there, keep eating a clean carnivore diet, and all of that will disappear. If you have a lot of weight to lose and you are at the start of your journey, you may have some issues around being fat, being obese. Weight loss, the physical weight loss, is one aspect of what you need to do, but the mental weight loss is something else that you also need to do. I can still look in the mirror, I did before I started filming, and tell myself that I'm fat, but I've got a healthy BMI, so I'm not objectively fat. But I still see myself as the person that I always was before. So you start the carnivore diet, you've got a lot of weight to lose, and you start to see the bloating coming down after a few days. You get on the scales and you've lost 8 pounds because all that water weight has disappeared and you feel amazing. To other people, you just look the same. You don't look any different, because what happens is every day when you get up, you look in the mirror and you notice every tiny thing on your face. And when you get up the next day and look, you are comparing to what you knew the day before. To other people who don't see you as often as you see yourself, you are going to just look like you. In my experience, it takes over about 30 pounds for people to even begin to notice. I would say 40 to 50 pounds is when they start to really notice. Don't expect others to validate the work you've been doing too early, because you are going to be disappointed. So if you've got a lot of weight to lose and you go on the carnivore, you might actually lose the weight quite fast. And that can mean that you may have excess skin. Are you happy for that to happen? Because it is a very real possibility. Do you want to be healthy inside, or do you want to look aesthetically better? It's harsh, but it's true. And you may have to face having weight loss surgery. I haven't had any weight loss surgery, thank God. But there are many people who do desperately need it. When I first started, the weight started falling off once I started OMAD, and I was losing £1 pound a day for a long time. Then what happened was I would start to plateau and I'd have a break, and then I'd go back to it and it would be fast again. And then as I moved into the smaller numbers, I would say the last couple of stone, which is the last 30 pounds or so, it has become much harder. My body really resists losing any weight these days. And so it's really important that I adjust my mindset from expecting £1 pound a day, because that's just not realistic anymore. Even though I've got another 14 pounds to lose, I'm not going to be at my goal weight in 2 weeks. It's going to be a much slower process. And that's the right thing, because there is not so much fat to lose now, and the body needs to lose it at a slower rate in order to maintain health. Your body is going to change significantly. You are going to probably notice stretch marks that you didn't notice before. You might notice loose skin depending on your age, the elasticity of your skin, and you might think that your body isn't what it used to be. And because we are built on aesthetics, we are trained from the day zero that aesthetics matter, it can hit us really hard. So it's really important in those moments that you do not allow the huge wins that you have had to be dampened or removed because you have got a few scars that show your life experience. The hardest part isn't food, it's people. People will put pressure on you to eat carbs. When you're out and about, you're at a restaurant, you might be at work and you go for lunch together, you might be anywhere and you want to only eat meat and eggs. people are going to think that's weird. They're going to put pressure on you to eat carbohydrates. So you have to have that why that we talked about in the beginning to remain really strong and steadfast in your decision not to go to carbs. It is a slippery slope. We've all done it, haven't we? I do it even with carnivore foods, where I eat my allocated food and then my brain, my appetite, not my hunger, tells me just have one more bite, and before I know it, I'm having double the food that I should be having. I did it the other night. But if you're on carnivore and you think just one bite of something non-carnivore, when you have really firm rules for yourself that you will not touch anything that's not carnivore, you will be more successful. It's when you tell yourself just one bite won't hurt, because one bite becomes 2 bites, becomes 3 bites, and before you know it, you're not carnivore anymore. When people see you being successful, they compare you against themselves. And if you're doing good and you're thriving, that comparison to themselves leaves them feeling bad about themselves. So they might then become resentful to you. You might even find them distancing yourself from you. When I was fat, years ago I'm talking about, and I was fat and I would have friends who were slim, and then I lost weight, they lost interest in being around me because being around me made them feel good. And when I lost the weight, it made them feel bad. It might be the case that while you're putting the junk food in the trash, you're actually putting people who were using you in the trash as well. So everything in our society is surrounded around food, all kinds of social interactions. A lot of the time when people provide food for you, they are showing love. It's their way of expressing their feelings towards you. So if you turn up and you are not taking that food, that's like a rejection from them. You are not a carnivore to make other people's life difficult. You are a carnivore because you want to improve your own health, and you need to keep that in mind. If I was to be asked out on a date, I don't drink alcohol, which is something people do, go for a drink. I don't drink coffee, so I can't go for a coffee. I don't eat most food, so going for a meal is going to be difficult, because eating out for a carnivore is difficult. It's going to be a really weird experience to be dating as a carnivore. I think the best thing to do when you're dating as a carnivore is to date another carnivore. It can be awkward. I would love to hear your dating stories down below if you have them. By the way, if you haven't yet, do subscribe to the channel, because I have lots of videos coming for you. Lots of mindset, weight loss, OMAD. If you stop drinking because alcohol is carbohydrates, all your drinking buddies are going to go by the wayside. It's inevitable that you are going to lose people from your bad habits you had before. Anytime you agree to go to a social event, you are agreeing to put yourself in front of temptation. There will be spreads, there will be food, there will be drink. And every time you are going to find it more and more difficult to say no. I can't remember the last time I went out to eat. I think it was over a year ago. And I didn't actually eat. I just sat there with a drink while everyone else ate. So now I choose to not go out to eat, just stay home to eat alone, because it is preferable, because I'm able to stay on plan and become the success that I want to be. I've had a number of people in recent times tell me I'm too skinny, or I'm really skinny, or I'm so thin. Those are not positive compliments. They are not things that are true. They're not things that I need to hear, and they're not things that are going to help me in any way, shape or form. And you need to be able to understand that that is going to happen and not get too offended by it. Just let it fly off, because it'll happen. You can't control what comes out of other people's mouths, but what you can do is stay steadfast in your knowledge that you're doing the right thing and you are at a position where you are healthy or working towards your health. Beyond weight loss is where carnivore really starts to show its teeth. So there's this idea in the carnivore community that you have to heal first and then the weight loss will come. I don't subscribe to that. I believe that weight loss is the healing you need to do. It's certainly the beginning of the healing that you need to do. But even once you've achieved the weight loss, you are going to continue to heal. What you can see on the outside is the weight loss. You can see your skin getting clearer. You can see your eczema clearing up. But what you can't see is all the benefits that are going on the inside to your organs, the reduction of visceral fat, to the inflammation that is coming down because you have made this change in your life. In the beginning of my journey, I had significant sleep issues, and being on carnivore in the beginning, I would wake up at 3 o'clock every morning and I was exhausted for months. But eventually that fixed itself. But while it wasn't fixing itself, I found it harder because my hormones were disrupted, which meant I had the food noise, which meant I was awake at certain hours. So I was eating more or thinking about food more. And it was just a big fat problem for me. Once the sleep rectified itself, and I now sleep between 5 and 7 hours, I'm able to regulate my appetite much better, my mood's much better, which just means that I'm much more in control of what goes in my body. So what you might find is once you go on the carnivore diet, initially your energy might drop, and that's because you're losing the glucose but not refueling with fat. Once you do that, your energy will then pick up and you might feel amazing for a while, and then you might go for a period of lethargy and it will go up and down, up and down. And that's normal. Everyone experiences that. The carnivore isn't a cure for the whole world's ailments. I think it's picked to be exactly that by the community, or at least it was when I first started. I think that messaging has changed a little bit now, but there's this idea that whatever illness you have, it will be fixed by carnivore. If you come into carnivore because you think you are going to find a cure for a really devastating illness, then you're probably wrong. What carnivore is really good for is autoimmune conditions. So if you have something where food is inflaming your body, causing any kind of inflammation, then you are going to see a real benefit by being on carnivore. MS in particular is something that carnivore does help. The brain fog is something that a lot of people get with any kind of chronic illness. Even without chronic illness, you can get brain fog. And people think by coming to carnivore that they're going to fix it, and they might well do. But if they're coming to carnivore and they're having a little bit of this and that, maybe spices on their food, something as small as that, but they're carnivore, they're wasting the time because those spices can cause the brain fog. So if you have brain fog and you want mental clarity, you need to go clean carnivore. That means meat and eggs only with salt and butter. And finally, long-term success is the real test. So when you were on a previous diet, the SAD diet, you had a lot of bad eating habits, not only in terms of the food that you're putting in your mouth, but the how, the why, and the when. Unless you work really hard to remove those habits as well as the food, you are still going to get those constant whispers in your head. I still get them even now, 18 months in. So in the beginning, people tend to fall off the wagon because it is a new way of eating and it takes time to adapt and to fully get our mindset where it needs to be. And then by the time you become strict and you get into that consistency, you get into a flow, you spend months, if not years, eating the right way, and then you have a slip up, you are going to feel it. suddenly you slap your body in the face and say, I'm eating all this old trash again, and your body will go into panic. You will see probably even stronger consequences than when you are on the SAD diet. Yeah, you're on carnivore. You can't go back to eating the way you did. Otherwise, you're going to undo all the good that you have done. So you are going to be eating this way for the rest of your life, but that is a good thing, especially if you incorporate fasting like I do. It's complete freedom because you are eating to fuel your body only. So you might eat once or twice a day, and you are just eating because you need that food. And then you're forgetting about food. You're not getting the food noise. You're not constantly hungry. And so it becomes freedom from a prison of constantly thinking about food. If you just decide you're going to have a little bit of cake one day because it's someone's birthday, or you're going to have a sandwich that was left over, your body is going to pay the price. When you're carnivore, you are fat adapted. Your body goes off of fat, and if you bring glucose into the scene even a little bit, your body is going to suddenly move over to glucose, and then it's going to be back and forwards, and you are not going to know, or your body is not going to know where it stands in terms of the fuel that it needs to burn. A lot of people, many people, I'm not saying it's you, but a lot of people do avoid accountability. They go through their life avoiding it at all costs. But when you come to a carnivore, what you're doing is taking accountability. You are saying there is a problem with my body and I need to fix it. If you want really consistent weight loss successes in the way that I have had, accountability was everything. Right from the beginning, I was weighing myself daily. I was taking monthly readings so I could zoom in and zoom out to see the success. I was also doing my measurements, and for a period I was writing a journal as well. All of those things were keeping me accountable. Leaning into accountability is going to be a superpower for you. What you've got to remember is, while you have lived in your body being obese or being overweight, and you have wanted desperately to lose weight, that's because you really value having a healthy body, being respected by other people, and living a full, healthy life. When you lose weight, you might expect other people to be really impressed with you in the way that you're impressed with yourself. That's not necessarily going to happen. I have a friend who doesn't value that. She's always been really small, so it's never been an issue for her. And when she makes friendships with people, she's not making friendships based on what they look like. She's making friendships based on whether they get on and their value systems, etc. If you were in a similar position to me when you started, I weighed 287 pounds. I was morbidly obese, I was bedbound, I was in a lot of pain with chronic illness, and my marriage had fallen apart. When I started, I thought, here we go, another diet that's not going to work. But lo and behold, here I am weighing 150 pounds. My life's completely turned around. It's not perfect, but it is a lot better. And carnivore was the absolute best thing I have ever done, hands down, in my whole life. That doesn't mean it didn't take effort. It doesn't mean it wasn't a slog. But what it means is I have achieved the results that I set out, and that is an amazing thing. These are 50 harsh truths that nobody told me. They're not comfortable, but they're real. And if you can face them, you can succeed too. And if you want even more unfiltered honesty from me, go watch this video, which was my unpopular opinions that kind of split the carnivore community in two.